We will publish the biography of the candidate for President of the United States of America, Ron DeSantis. Part 5. We continue to narrate a stage in the life of the candidate for Ron DeSantis. DeSantis fielded questions at a town hall event in New Hampshire on June 27. In a pluvial event, DeSantis marched in an Independence Day parade in New Hampshire. DeSantis' wife, Casey DeSantis, announced she would launch a grassroots group called Mamas for DeSantis with Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds days after DeSantis and Trump crossed paths at a Moms for Liberty convention. In a subsequent video, she called for mothers to mobilize to protect the innocence of our children and to protect the rights of parents. DeSantis made her first independent appearance on July 6 with Reynolds. Through her words, both privately and publicly, Reynolds has created an environment that has favored DeSantis, drawing ire from Trump. Trump attacked Reynolds and will skip out on a gathering in Des Moines, Iowa, for the family leader hosted by politician Bob Vander Plaats, to which DeSantis came to her defense and indirectly told him, "Nobody is entitled to this nomination," on the Howie Carr show. The DeSantis ad contrasts Trump's comments with news headlines about DeSantis' anti-LGBT policies, interwoven with a jarring series of clips, including a heavily muscled man known as Gigachad, images of DeSantis shooting lasers out of his eyes, obscure right-wing memes, and movie clips of Patrick Bateman in American Psycho, Jordan Belfort in The Wolf of Wall Street, and Achilles in Troy, who is often depicted as a gay man in ancient Greek literature. The video was criticized by many Democrats and Republicans. In response, DeSantis doubled down on his criticism of Trump as a pioneer in injecting gender ideology into the mainstream. The video was removed from Twitter on July 7 for copyright violations. According to the New York Times, the video was produced by a DeSantis staffer and handed off to a supporter, to make the ad appear independent of the campaign. In July, 2 senior advisors left the DeSantis campaign to work on an outside campaign effort. Amid financial issues, the campaign let go fewer than 10 aides involved in event planning, according to Politico, leaving the campaign with at least 90 employees. Never Back Down has received resumes from the laid-off staffers. In a perceived slight towards Trump's comments at a Dairy Queen in Council Bluffs, Iowa, in which he asked what a blizzard was, DeSantis visited a Dairy Queen and ordered a blizzard. He did not appear at the Turning Point Action Conference that month, in contrast with Trump, who dismissed his candidacy and seized on his absence. Campaign press secretary Brian Griffin stated that DeSantis was instead in Iowa and spoke at the Tennessee Republican Party Statesman's Dinner. According to organizers, he declined to speak at the conference. Other speakers at the event, such as Representatives Matt Gaetz, Byron Donalds, and Anna Paulina Luna, supported Trump. At a fundraising event in Ankeny, Iowa, DeSantis told reporters that he would consider Kim Reynolds as a potential vice president if he wins the Republican nomination. DeSantis scaled back his travel schedule to prioritize early voting states and focusing on media interviews, including an interview with CNN's Jake Tapper on The Lead with Jake Tapper, marking the first time he has appeared on a non-conservative outlet. Griffin told the New York Post that the DeSantis campaign prioritizes fundraising over media attention, chiding mainstream media. The campaign's acceptance of the mainstream media is a departure from the isolationist strategy seen in the days following DeSantis' announcement that was once described as a safe space by Axios. DeSantis became the first major candidate to file in South Carolina, but that day his campaign events in Tega Cay and West Columbia were overshadowed by news that Jack Smith was advancing the investigation into the January 6 Capitol attack by naming Trump as a target. That month, Never Back Down ran a political advertisement that, while using a post written by him on Truth Social, used an audio deepfake of Trump as part of an Iowa advertisement worth at least $1 million. Trump campaign senior advisor Chris LaChivita criticized the use of artificial intelligence in the advertisement. According to NBC News, DeSantis will run as an insurgent rather than an incumbent governor and will lean less into his governorship as a whole. He appeared at the Utah State Capitol with Utah Governor Spencer Cox, where he appealed to the state's evangelical base. Later that month, Politico reported that DeSantis had cut his campaign staff by a third, or the jobs of 38 aides, signaling a need to rein in funding. On the same day, he was involved in a car crash at approximately 8:15 a.m. in Chattanooga, Tennessee, that lightly injured one aide, and on the same day as a donor retreat in Park City, Utah. A pro-DeSantis Twitter account received criticism for posting a video that depicted a Sonnenrad, a symbol used by neo-Nazis, in the video's background. The video was retweeted by a DeSantis campaign staffer but was eventually deleted after massive criticism and backlash. The video creator and its retweeter was revealed to be former National Review writer and campaign speechwriter Nate Hochman, who was subsequently fired. It was later revealed that the DeSantis campaign was directly involved in the creation of this and similar meme videos, after chat logs from a campaign war room were revealed by Semaphore. On August 8, DeSantis replaced campaign manager Janera Peck with James Uthmere. Peck became the chief strategist. DeSantis reset his campaign for a second time on August 11. The following day, DeSantis attended the Iowa State Fair, but his presence was interrupted by Trump's arrival. A memo from Never Back Down released that month suggested that then-candidate Vivek Ramaswamy would implement the caste system in the United States, viewing Ramaswamy as an opponent gaining in strength. Republican consulting firm Axiom Strategies released hundreds of advice, memos, and polling information online, revealing that DeSantis's debate strategy is to take a sledgehammer to Ramaswamy and attack Biden, but defend Trump in absentia. DeSantis distanced himself from the documents, claiming that he had not read them, following the advice would be perceived as having no control over his campaign. At a speech in New Hampshire, DeSantis adjusted his approach to appear more personal, offering an anecdote about going to Fenway Park while on the Yale Bulldogs baseball team. Later that month, DeSantis received criticism from Trump supporters for referring to them as listless vessels. The 2024 Iowa Republican presidential caucuses were held on January 15, 2024. DeSantis placed second, winning 21.23% of the vote and 9 delegates, losing to Trump by a 30-point margin. Analysts described the results as heavily damaging DeSantis's campaign. On January 21, 2024, DeSantis suspended his campaign prior to the New Hampshire Republican presidential primary, endorsing Trump. Prior to his announcement, the New York Times had reported that DeSantis was expected to withdraw his candidacy. According to a donor, DeSantis lacked financial support. The Trump campaign was aware that DeSantis was tendering a campaign suspension but did not expect him to endorse Trump. Candidate Nikki Haley said DeSantis ran a great race and she wished him well. Her campaign said it did not expect her chances to be affected by DeSantis's withdrawal. The DeSantis campaign announced that DeSantis raised a total of $8.2 million from online donations and donations made at the Four Seasons Miami, outpacing Trump, who had raised $9.5 million in the 6 weeks after he announced his campaign. His campaign was also supported by Bigelow Aerospace founder Robert Bigelow, whose $20 million donation to Never Back Down is one of the largest of a single donor in a presidential primary. In a USA Today interview, donors expressed indifference for DeSantis's declining poll numbers, comparing it to a marathon. The donor network of Charles Koch, one of the biggest spenders in American politics, considered supporting DeSantis, but early campaign stumbles dissuaded Koch. Never Back Down raised an unprecedented $500,000 through the Draft DeSantis 2024 fund in the days following DeSantis's announcement. By July 6, the DeSantis campaign had raised $20 million, while Never Back Down touted that it had raised $130 million. According to a campaign finance disclosure that month, a majority of the money earned by the campaign came from donors who gave the legal maximum, suggesting potential long-term solvency issues. To reach these donors, DeSantis used private planes, cutting into his funding. The report shows funding slowed down after he announced his candidacy. In fundraising emails, DeSantis has focused on culture war issues such as transgender men getting pregnant, with his emails mentioning woke more than any other Republican candidate. Seeking to contrast him with Trump, the DeSantis campaign has sought to avoid the beseeching undertone present in many of Trump's fundraising emails. DeSantis's campaign website promises to avoid smoke and mirrors and unrealistic donation matching promises. His advisors have argued that transparency with donors could effectively counter the advantage Democratic candidates have had with ActBlue, an online fundraising software, while its Republican alternative, WinRed, was created 15 years later. Never Back Down Chief Operating Officer Kristen Davison stated that a challenge for Republicans is building out the small dollar universe. DeSantis's approach has been tried by Senator Bernie Sanders, who utilized grassroots donors in his 2016 and 2020 presidential campaigns. Despite this, he has siphoned off former Trump donors, earning more than twice as much from former donors than Nikki Haley. Nearly half of all total donations came from precincts that supported Democrat Joe Biden in 2020. Never Back Down has taken aggressive measures to attract door knockers in a mass national canvassing measure. By July 2023, the organization had an estimated 350 to 400 canvassers, according to Davison. The PAC's canvassing efforts contrast with traditional presidential field organizing efforts, which typically use volunteers. Never Back Down tracks canvassers through an app and must write down their interactions with voters. Although door knockers are reportedly trained and vetted, The Washington Post obtained several videos from Ring doorbells. In one video, a cannabis-intoxicated canvasser used lewd remarks, leading to his firing. Virginia Representative Barbara Comstock spoke critically of this practice, stating that campaigns want volunteers who are local and well-versed in the politics of the state. Door knockers are trained at a facility in West Des Moines, Iowa, known as Fort Benning, where they are coached to avoid reporters and Trump supporters and respect no trespassing signs but not no soliciting signs. They are managed by subcontractors, including Vanguard Field Strategies, a subsidiary of Axiom Strategies, whose founder, Jeff Rowe, is the chief strategist for Never Back Down. In August 2023, financial filings revealed that Never Back Down had $97 million in cash on hand and spent $34 million. The filings show a reliance on wealthy donors, including Bigelow. In May 2023, NBC News reported that staff for the DeSantis administration sent text messages soliciting donations from Florida lobbyists, a potentially legally strenuous maneuver. During a campaign effort in the border city of Eagle Pass, Texas, DeSantis shared a photo op of himself posing in front of a helicopter on Twitter. Although the photo was intended to boost his campaign, DeSantis received criticism when the Daily Beast stated that the helicopter was taxpayer-funded. The publication also noted that DeSantis took a tour of the Rio Grande on a boat owned by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission as part of Operation Lone Star, accompanied by a Fox News reporter. The New York Times confirmed the boat's status. The Federal Election Commission requires candidates to reimburse government entities when using aircraft given to them. In July, NBC News obtained a confidential campaign memo intended to quell donor concerns. The memo shows that DeSantis is focusing on early voting states and that he views only former President Donald Trump as a significant threat. Although DeSantis initially faced competitive support to Trump according to aggregate 538 polls, the margin between Trump and DeSantis increased over the course of 2023. According to the Quinnipiac University Polling Institute, between May 18 to 22, DeSantis attracted 25% of Republican voters compared to Trump's 56% hold. 538's Jeffrey Skelly noted Trump's rise in the time between November 2022, when he declared his candidacy, and May 2023. In that time, Trump was able to attack DeSantis for following many of the beliefs established by the Freedom Caucus, which he co-founded. Trump convinced many Florida congressional Republicans to back him and garnered endorsements, and his indictment bolstered his ratings. In April 2023, DeSantis signed a 6-week abortion ban, which led Republican megadonors to worry that he had shifted too far to the right. Trump's presence in the 2024 Republican Party presidential primaries and his core followers, as well as an increasing field, presented challenges for the DeSantis campaign. Ryan Tyson, a senior advisor to DeSantis, said that the campaign seeks to accrue voters who will neither vote exclusively for Trump nor identify with the Never Trump movement. According to Tyson, additional entrants split up the Never Trump electorate. Other candidates, such as Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy, have focused on attacking DeSantis rather than Trump. Ramaswamy dined with Trump and his son-in-law Jared Kushner, a close friend of Ramaswamy, at Trump's property in Bedminster, New Jersey, in 2021. Following Trump's second indictment, DeSantis fell 9% in the Real Clear Politics national average. Former Trump advisor and Never Back Down spokesperson Steve Cortes called Trump the runaway front-runner and admitted to being way behind. Despite the field thinning out with Burgum, Pence, and Scott dropping out, DeSantis struggled to consolidate those supporters. Additionally, as the field thinned, Haley rose to challenge DeSantis, both nationally and in the early states. I stop at this point today. Until next time, stay curious. Stay informed, and keep exploring the world's incredible stories. Thank you for watching.